Stress disorder is what PTSD stands for. And that is when the body responds in the same way as it would to as a stress reaction. In other words, we start breathing very heavily, our heart rate goes up, our blood pressure goes up, we might start sweating, we palpitate, and it's a very unpleasant feeling because the body is preparing to fight or run away. With PTSD, however, it happens without the stressor necessarily being present. Okay. So in the case of a car accident, what could trigger those same sensations of panic and unpleasantness can be the sound of a car horn. It could be the sound of a car just rushing past. And that can be very scary for the person because they're not in that situation anymore, but they're still experiencing the symptoms. Worse still, they can also have things like flashbacks and nightmares, and the feelings can actually then trigger other mental health issues. So, for example, if you are worried about feeling so panicky every time you hear a car, you might stop going out, which means you start withdrawing. People might stop asking you to go out, so that can lead to depression and isolation. Similarly, if it was something like a car accident, you might suddenly think, oh, what about my children, or what about my family? Would they be in an accident? And that can lead to a lot of anxiety. Worse still, it can even result in obsessive-compulsive disorders because what we're trying to do often is find some sort of control that we can put back onto our lives, and that might start us doing all kinds of superstitious or strange behaviours because we're thinking, oh no, if I do that, then something won't happen. And unfortunately, that can be incredibly disruptive in our lives. There are a couple of things that can make PTSD more likely to occur, and that can be because when we were being supported through the incident, we weren't supported perhaps as well as we could have been. Alternatively, if there were psychological issues prior to that, or maybe you were in a very chaotic lifestyle, that too can also make the propensity to experience these after effects much greater.
What can a person do then to get help and to treat this?
That's the best thing. Talk about it. If you try and self-medicate, if you try and just avoid the situation, that can result in more problems. Be honest with people. Tell people, oh, I'm not keen to go out now because I'm still concerned, I'm still worried, and maybe they will be able to help you in working through it with somebody else. Another thing that's worth thinking about is whether the sensation of panic or fear that you feel is really in response to the stressor at hand. So in other words, if you've had a car accident and maybe you panic about going back into the car, but prior to that accident, you were living a very stressful, very frenetic kind of life. And it might be that the fear is actually somewhere you're unconscious saying to you, don't go back to that lifestyle. Don't go back to that. And that could actually be stopping you wanting to go into the car because the car is the gateway back into that life again. So be aware that it's not, that it is actually the car or the plane or whatever it is.
That's quite a good time to reflect as well, doesn't it then?
It really is. Any kind of traumatic event is often a bit of a warning shot. We got lucky. Those scars are there because we've survived it. And therefore it's a good time to be able to take stock because your body will probably already have had to take a step back because you're getting well again. Therefore it's really important to keep an eye and be aware of what our minds are thinking as well, because our unconscious is really quite clever and it might be trying to communicate with us in the only way it knows how, which is causing us to behave in ways that are unusual.
Audrey, thank you so much, my love.
Pleasure.
And we'll see you again next time.
Thank you.